Welcome to another Cup of Joe. I'm your host, Joe Tumalo, CEO of Major and Plan Giving Development. So happy to be with my friend here, super smart, lovely, wonderful, talented Kelley McGeehan. Welcome, Kelley.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
What's your cup say?
Number one, mom.
And then what are the ingredients there?
Yes, it is nap time 0%, caffeine 100%, mama bear instincts 400%, and unconditional love 1,000%.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. I hope one of your kids gave you that.
Yes, all four of them did.
Oh, nice. All chipped in, right?
Yep, exactly.
Merry Christmas, Mom. There's your gift. So Kelley is with her company is Conduit Philanthropic Intelligence Partner. Wow, that's a mouthful. What does that mean?
I don't want to make it easy.
Yeah, well, can you pretend I'm a 6-year-old? I mean, I probably have the intelligence level of 6-year-old, and you're trying to explain to me what that means?
So if I was to talk to you as a 6-year-old, I would say I work with people who are trying to raise money for their organization, and I help them identify donors who have the capacity and desire to support their programs and the mission of the organization.
And one of the things we've worked together, you've helped me with some clients.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I noticed is that it's not just dumping thousands of names on somebody on fundraisers that, look, I have to focus and I can't, it's just too much. I'm not going to use it. And then it's overwhelming.
Okay.
So any suggestions for folks on how to not do that?
It's hard, right? Because regardless of the size of the database of an organization, whether you have a small database of 1,000 names or a huge database of 100,000 names or more, even 1,000 names is a lot of information to get through and a lot of people to reach out to and touch and talk to and find out what the right interaction with them truly is. So through the process of prospect research, I help philanthropic teams to narrow down their efforts and to be more efficient and to focus on the people who have the ability to give at a particular level or for a particular area of their organization, and to really help to, using research, identify where their interests lie.
And one of the some of the notes you sent over, you talked about if you have limited time or resources, focus on prior philanthropy.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So look, a lot of organizations will have somebody on staff doing research. A lot of organizations prioritize their staffing otherwise, and they'll bring me in to help. Regardless of the situation, time and money are limited for all of us, right? Mm-hmm. And so when someone is trying to say, okay, I need some information fast and I don't have the resources in order to do a huge deep dive and really fully analyze them, the first thing that you really want to focus on is the prospect's prior giving to other organizations. So you can see where they have already taken the time and effort to make a charitable donation to an organization and to a cause that is near and dear to them. And you can analyze the amount that they've given, how they give. Was it an annual gift? Did they support a capital campaign? Was it an endowment gift? And then you can compare it to how you want to approach them for a respectful ask and at the right time as well.
And how does that information tell us the right time, or doesn't it?
So when you're doing the research, and again, this gets into a time or money situation, are you as the researcher using a third-party aggregator like a donor searcher, an iWave, or a Research Point that will compile a list of charitable donations that a person has made and give it to you in a nice, neat pile? Or are you taking the time to go out and search the internet and look through annual reports for other organizations? The time piece is if you see somebody has just initiated a relationship with another organization for a large capital campaign gift, that is going to tell you that they might have multiple years left on their pledge. And so you can use that information in your conversation to help guide what level of gift you would be respectfully asking them for.
Now, when I don't spend a lot of time on, and we can talk about this in a minute, I don't spend a lot of time researching donors until I've qualified them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when I do go into some of these, you call them aggregators. That's interesting because they're not. Are they researching or they're just aggregating? They're not aggravating. I know some that are very nice. All the ones I know are very nice. They're not aggravating. But are they? They're aggregating. They're not technically researching, are they? Or they compile?
Well, they do. So the vendors will gather information on the prospects from a wide variety of resources. 20, 25 different databases, and pull it all together. And so again, when you're looking at if you need a quick snapshot of a prospect, a lot of organizations use it as a pre-qualification tool that they'll have their philanthropy officers just do a quick dive into a donor search or an iWave or a research point and look and see where the prospect has made gifts to previously, what boards they serve on, and where they live and the value of the real estate. And then there can be a capacity rating that is generated. So it is that very first level of what I would term qualification research that is being done. Now, the vendors are pulling it in from multiple sources, so it does need to be validated to make sure that the information is truly for your prospect and not somebody else who has a very similar name and lives in the same area, which does happen quite frequently.
Now, in the giving, looking at other places they're giving to, maybe just in limited time I spent on there, but it seems like there's not a lot of current information. Like I look at the donations and they're like 3, 4, 5 years old or older. I guess maybe it varies a lot, but any general average length of time that it takes from the time that, let's say, we made a pledge for a campaign, made our first pledge payment to the time that would actually show up in one of these?
So these vendors are using annual reports that are provided from the nonprofit organizations where the donations are being made. So if you think about a nonprofit's fiscal year, so let's just say they have a July 1 to June 30th fiscal year, that annual report isn't being created and made public until several months later. And then it might be a few months after that before the vendor gets the data into their database. So I do, even right now in 2023, I see donations through 2022 quite consistently.
Really? Okay.
And I see a historical listing, which is great to get an idea as far as a trend for that particular prospect, as far as how long they've been giving to an organization, if they've been increasing their gifts over time, if they've been remaining steady. It all provides information and it tells a story as far as the type of donor that person is.
And you and I have had this conversation a number of times. And I'm more of a high level, don't bog me down with the details. I need to get back on the phone and start calling donors. So what's your response to someone like me that says, like I said earlier, I don't even know I can't even get these people on the phone. I've made 10 attempts. What good is all this research or spending? What good is somebody spending money or time on all this research? Why can't I even get these people on the phone?
So that's where I say, that the research helps with efficiencies because, and there's all different levels of research. We can do a really deep dive into one prospect and have multiple pages analyzing their business holdings, analyzing their family, analyzing where they have been a volunteer, down to doing an analysis and validation of a screening. And this is where, in a case like what you just described, taking a database and segmenting it out and saying, hey, I need to be efficient with my time. I want to focus on the folks who quite possibly will respond to the type of gift that I'm seeking from them. So am I looking for someone who is going to be a higher level annual fund donor? We can segment out the database. Are we looking for somebody who might be a plan giving prospect and looking at some of how their wealth is held, how they have, how many properties they've had, how long they've been giving to the organization? We can segment them out. And so through the research, we are pulling down the data into smaller segments to allow you to focus on those prospects who are most likely to be responding to that phone call.
Nice. That's great. Because I see a lot of the opposite, where they're using that to try to narrow, they're using the wealth to try to narrow it down. Or the other thing might be, we all then know the typical stereotype of somebody that doesn't really understand fundraising that's saying, oh, well, they have a ton of money. Why don't somebody call them? Well, there's no relationship. They're not charitable. And why would we? Well, they have a lot of money, right? The opposite of what you just said, I think. And then a lot of in between, I think.
And there's always in between. And it allows the team to focus all of their efforts. And I truly believe that research helps the team be more efficient and to meet the goals successfully.
And do the researchers and gift officers, I'm setting you up here, researchers and gift officers get along well and communicate every day?
It all depends on the situation, but historically and in generally, researchers are focusing on data externally. Gift officers are focusing on the interactions that they have with the prospects. They're both gathering information, but they're speaking different languages many times. And so a real key to keep everybody successful and to help them be successful is to foster a strong relationship between the researcher and the gift officer so that the researcher knows what type of information will be beneficial to the gift officer to help them build the relationship with the prospect. And it's important for the gift officer to very clearly state to the researcher, this is the type of information I'm looking for, so that instead of just saying, I need research, but being able to say, I'm really interested in what boards they serve on so I can build additional relationships between this prospect and our organization. And by being specific and by being clear with each other, it makes everyone more successful and it helps to secure that relationship with the prospect.
You said board members, and I have to be candid here. I don't know that I ever thought about using research like that for potential board members.
Yes, it happens a lot, actually.
So to say, hey, we need more board members, or we need more fundraising minded board members.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of organizations will go through research, and as far as looking at where their interests are, if they're serving on a number of boards already, if they've served on other boards with current board members for our organization, if there's an existing relationship, and for due diligence.
Good stuff. Any other major points before we wrap up?
I think we've really hit on everything. With all of the research, always make sure you document it, keep an open line of communication, and always, be willing to continually evaluate the prospects because situations change.
Right. It's a constant flux.
Yep.
Yeah. And how can people get in touch with you, Kelley?
They can reach me through LinkedIn. I'm Kelley McGeehan. I've got 2 E's in Kelley. Also at my website is www.conduitpartner.com.
Awesome. And I know, but can you tell everybody what makes you different from all the other people doing this out there? Other than your charm, personality, wit.
And my dogs.
And your dog.
Prior to starting my business 12 years ago, I was a frontline fundraiser. I would focus on major gifts and capital campaign and plan giving. And so when I am performing research, I am researching through the eyes of the gift officer and really trying to help create the strategy to build the relationships for the gift officers.
There's a great tagline, research through the eyes of the gift officer. No charge. You're welcome.
Thank you. Have used it.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.